Hello students, hope you all are fine. Today we are going to start a new chapter from your main course book. The name of the chapter is The Magic Ring. Let us know about the author. Jai Whittaker grew up in a beautiful home in Mumbai. The garden had old trees and a colony of bullfrogs as big as kittens. The family's holiday place was a beach where crabs ruled the seashore and seagulls nested in the tall trees. There were several naturalists in the family, including the birdman Salim Ali. Nature watching was a regular activity. Jai is a teacher and writer. She has worked at the Chennai Snake Park and Crocodile Bank and at Abacus Montessori School, Chennai. She lived and taught in beautiful Kodaikanal for 13 years. She is also part of a team that helps women of the Irula tribe of hunter gatherers and snake catchers. At present, she is principal of Outreach School in Bangalore. Her books for children include Cobra in My Kitchen, Salim Ali for School, Andaman Boys, and Kali and the Rat Snake. So let us know about Salim Ali. Salim Ali, one of the greatest ornithologists and naturalists of all time, is also known as the Birdman of India. He was one of the very first scientists to carry out systematic bird surveys in India and abroad. His research work is considered highly influential in the development of ornithology. His book of Indian birds has become a classic. With little money and none of the slick equipment naturalists use today, he revolutionized bird study and made many discoveries about their natural history and behavior. He played a major part in conserving bird habitats. This chapter about his bird migration studies is from the book Salim Ali for Schools. So let's read the story The Magic Ring. Here, the author says that early naturalists did not have the solid body of scientific work that we have today. Today we can walk to the library or we can access to internet to get information about the latest discoveries and different species. Every year we can see thousands of migratory birds. They fly thousands of miles every year to escape cold winters and to lay their eggs and raise their chicks in the comfort of a warm land. But you may wonder that how do birds find their ways to a specific spot year after year? Like computer programmed objects, they fly thousands of miles and land at a particular lake or forest every year. They are extremely punctual. Without watches or computers or travel agents, how do they do it? Why don't they lose their way or die of exhaustion? Now let us know how do they learn migration. Migration is therefore not a behavior which is taught by parents. It is caused by strong genetic or inborn instincts which all animals from mollusks to elephants share. Like a good computer program, instinct guides them to food and friends and prevents them from getting lost as they roam miles and miles in different directions. There are two seasons of bird travel to and from India every year. Millions of birds belonging to about 300 species fly thousands of miles to get to their nesting places and return in the spring when the weather warms up. A flock of migrating birds, sometimes several thousand strong, is an unforgettable sight. This is also the time when otherwise solitary birds are seen together. The marsh harrier, for example, is usually seen individually or in pairs. But during a survey in Afghanistan, Salim Ali saw a large flock of them arriving and settling in a plowed field as it was getting dark. Having come all the way from India, they were obviously exhausted, but they were off again at daybreak. By the 1960s, Ornithologists in many countries had begun studying bird migration by ringing birds. Selim made a start with his team from the Bombay Natural History Society. A small aluminium or plastic ring, too small and light to handicap the bird, is clamped on the bird's foot. On the ring is a message asking the finder of the bird to return the ring to a particular address, such as the BNHS. He is also asked to name the place, date, and time where the ring was found. The bird ringing camps in Helgoland, Germany, had given him useful training. A few trial bird ringing camps around Mumbai and the results showed that it should be done on a larger scale. But there was the usual small problem, money. For a while it looked pretty hopeless, but in the end it worked out thanks funnily enough to a lowly virus. A strange viral disease had broken out in the Simoga district of Karnataka and was affecting humans and monkeys. It was new to Indian doctors and no one could figure out exactly what it was and how to cure it. It became even more mysterious when scientists at the Pune Virus Research Center, peering through their microscopes, discovered it came from Western Siberia. There, it caused a disease known as Russian spring summer encephalitis, very much like the Simoga sickness. But how did this Siberian virus get to Karnataka? The World Health Organization WHO wanted to find out and it asked Selim and BNHS for help. Perhaps the ticks and other parasites carrying this virus had come from Siberia. Could migratory birds be the culprits? Many winter migrants in India came from Siberia, so it was likely. Well, Selim was only too happy to find out, and he was invited to a WHO meeting in Geneva to make all the arrangements. And in this way, bird ringing or bird banging began in India. Selim and his team would certainly collect ticks and other parasites for the WHO. At the same time, he would be able to clamp on the magic ring that would tell the story of bird migration to and from India. The first area chosen for setting up a bird ringing camp was the Ran of Kutch. Why all of why of all places the uncomfortable desert of Kutch? Many of our winter bird visitors come from northwestern lands like Eastern Europe and Siberia. To avoid flying over the skyscraper peaks of the Himalayas, they come in through the Indus Valley and turn left into the land blob of the Gujarat Peninsula. So in 1960, Salim and other ornithologists from the BNHS were in the desert setting up nets in preparation for the first wave of migrant birds. They had already received a few very startling recoveries, rings returned to the BNHS, even from far away Turkestan and Siberia. Ornithologists all over the world were becoming serious bird ringers, and the technology had advanced. The early nets to trap the birds had been heavy and difficult to manage. Since then, the Japanese had invented mist nets, which were light and springy like giant spider webs. The next question, where should these nets be put up? A place had to be found where the migrants would picnic for a day or two to rest, eat, and drink before their next long flight. Done. But as soon as the tents were pitched and the camp got going, there was a sudden heavy early monsoon ushering in flood and famine. It was difficult to work in that large swamp or even to find food for the bird team. But the success of this camp was that the ornithologists from the BNHS learned to use the mist nets. An expert had especially come from Switzerland to show them how to put up the long, almost invisible nets on bamboo poles. Even the keen eyesight of birds missed its hair's thin strand of nylon. Imagine the bird flying into a bush or patch of grass and it finds itself bouncing about in a hammock. Being springy and elastic, the net doesn't damage the bird, but it must be quickly untangled, weighed, measured, and ringed. Then it is free to fly away, wondering what on earth that noise and excitement was all about. The camp was a real bird heaven, but unfortunately, it was also a favorite spot for snakes. It was infested by saw-scaled vipers, deadly venomous snakes which move fast and are quick to strike. The snake's sandy coloring helps it blend in so well with the desert soil that it's easy to step on. Selim had brought along an antivenom serum kit, and on the first evening they tried to follow the instructions. But they were so complicated that it was decided that in case of a bite, they should be kind to the victim and allow him to die peacefully. Fortunately, no one was bitten in spite of some close shaves. These bird ringing camps became an important part of the work of Dr. Salim Ali and the Bombay Natural History Society. Millions of birds were ringed in many parts of the country, and the recoveries began to tell for the first time the story of where and how migrants fly. The chief and the most important ringing center was Keoladio near Bharatpur, Rajasthan, which is today a national park. Thanks to Salim campaign for its conservation, it is a very large wetland where millions of migrant waterfowl and other birds arrive every winter. One of these is the rare and beautiful Siberian crane. It is also home to many species of water birds such as storks, herons, spoonbills, and apses, which breed here and then migrate locally within India. They are domestic tourists. Very little was known about their movements as well. This bird paradise was the private hunting ground of the royal family of Bharatpur. Their VIP guests were entertained by massacres of water birds, which were kept moving by beaters, making them easy targets. There are records of 3 and 4,000 birds shot in a single day. But the real danger to Bharatpur came after independence when the local farmers tried and almost succeeded in getting this fantastic birdhouse drained and converted into agricultural land. This would have been the end of one of the most precious water birds heavens in the world. Fortunately, Selim knew Prime Minister Nehru personally and also knew of his deep love for nature and asked him to stop this crazy plan. And Nehru did. Today, ornithologists and tourists come from all over the world to watch the teeming bird life of Keoladio National Park by Jai Whittaker. Thank you, students. Hope you have understood the story. Hope to meet you in the next video.